At 2:17 in the morning, a 22-year-old college student named Ethan woke up to a whisper. The house sat in a quiet American town, stripped of the usual noise of his daily life. Ethan lived in a world of constant stimulation. Between academic deadlines and the social hum of campus, his waking hours were a series of distractions that left no room for reflection. He had walked away from the faith of his childhood, convinced that he'd outgrown the need for bout. In his mind, he was self-sufficient, a modern man with no use for ancient prayers. But distraction only works when the environment cooperates. When the noise finally cuts out, the silence feels heavy, leaving a person alone with the thoughts they've spent years trying to drown out. When a voice whispered his name from the darkness downstairs, Ethan did what any modern person would do. He reached for his phone, using the flashlight to cut through the shadows. He tried to call a friend, but the signal was gone. Despite a full battery, the phone was a useless piece of glass. The digital lifeline he relied on had vanished, leaving him disconnected from the world he knew. The threat moved closer. Ethan heard his mother's voice calling to him, but it wasn't coming from the hallway. It was coming from inside the room, emerging from the dark gap of his closet door. Our physical and digital safety nets are designed to provide a sense of control. When they fail, we are forced to face the internal void we've worked so hard to avoid. The bedroom light shattered. Terrified, Ethan fled the room and ran down the stairs, ending up in the only place left to go, the cold, dark basement. This wasn't just a physical trap. In a psychological sense, he had reached a neglected corner of the mind, a place where unresolved fears and abandoned spiritual foundations are left to gather dust. Among the old boxes, he found a Bible. It was thick with dust, yet it was open to Psalm 23, words describing a walk through the valley of the shadow of death. The basement represents the parts of our lives we ignore. Even when buried under the debris of modern life, the spiritual core remains, waiting for the moment we finally look down. The basement door slammed and locked. On the concrete wall, 3 words were scrawled in the dark. Pray before it sees you. In the corner, a faceless shadow began to move. The shadow didn't use force, it used guilt. It whispered that Ethan was alone because he had stopped believing, that he had no right to ask for help after staying away for so long. Darkness wins by convincing its victim that they are too far gone to be heard. It tries to turn shame into a wall, making the prospect of reaching out feel like an impossibility. Ethan didn't try to be brave. Instead, he dropped to his knees, held the Bible, and admitted his fear. He stopped trying to handle the situation on his own. This is where the darkness loses its grip. It assumes that fear will lead to silence, failing to realize that admitting helplessness is often the very thing that reopens the door to faith. Jesus, I trust you. Ethan's voice was shaky at first, but it became steady as he anchored himself to Christ. He stopped identifying with his panic and started identifying with his Savior. A golden light filled the basement, and the shadow vanished. On the wall, the warning was gone. In its place was a new message: do not fear. Ethan found safety the moment he stopped trying to be the one in control. Faith isn't about generating a surge of internal courage. It's the choice to stop white-knuckling the fear and reach for someone else. Trying to fight the darkness alone only creates more exhaustion. Real victory arrives when the light is allowed to enter and do the work that no human effort could manage. Ethan's experience reflects a geography we all carry. Most of us don't have a shadow standing in the corner of our house, but we all have spaces we avoid. Our basements are life's silent burdens: grief, a sense of failure, or an isolating anxiety. The way out is the path Ethan took, admitting the fear and reaching out in the dark. Faith isn't a lack of fear. It is trusting Jesus while the hands are shaking and the voice is trembling. The darkness might see you, but the final word belongs to someone else.